They have to spend the entire day, which family's not going to do that. So then they just come for finals.
Yep.
Like,
I know.
I don't know. It was interesting. I will tell you also from a stage venue perspective, to be able to have women backstage separately from men.
Yeah.
You had half the people back there.
Probably way better. And
Much better.
most places don't have the biggest backstage area. Correct. You know, I think we're pretty blessed where we go, where Mel Chansey does
Oh,
his.
hell yeah.
My God, I love that freaking venue. It's probably my favorite venue I've ever been to. And I've been to a lot of venues.
Yeah.
Charlotte?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, like
God, it's awesome.
St.
Yeah.
Pete sucks.
It's really nice.
St. Pete's
okay,
venue
but
sucks. And he's going to have twice as many people than last year.
The fucking backstage is
Bro,
horrible.
there's 4
It's
boxes the size
too
of
small.
like not even this
way
room.
too small, dude.
Yeah.
Way too small. And then the only bathroom is either out in the main area or, most people don't know, there is one downstairs from the backstage,
Yep.
but
Okay,
it's
I didn't
closed.
know that.
Yes, it's actually it's actually set up like a green room stage area for
Yeah.
for actors. But
You're talking about the Coliseum, right?
but they close it off.
Yeah.
There's actually a sign that says closed to athletes.
What was the one they used to do then? It was like a big, like, it was almost like an opera house, but it wasn't the opera house.
Opera House
What
was in
that?
Sarasota.
Yeah, but there was one in Tampa that they used to do that back in the day. Do you guys know that?
It
was
the
kind
only
of
place-
cool. The upstate. Okay, so the upstairs was this huge room, and clients, everyone would just run around, and, and then they had to go downstairs through like the hall. I don't know, man. I've just so many shows there. I forgot what it was called. I gotta remember that. But then they switched it to the Coliseum, which was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here, Dustin. Dustin, who we got on, man?
Debbie Rosen, how you doing?
I am good. I'm good.
Man,
How are you
this
guys?
is awesome. This woman has driven 2 hours to get here, yo.
Thank you so much.
We are so honored to have you here. This woman has an amazing resume, and we're excited to introduce y'all to this
you.
woman. Yeah, please.
So give us a rundown.
Yeah.
Who are you? What have you done? You've done a lot of things in this sport. In life. Give us a rundown.
I've done a lot of
continuing
things.
going.
There's a very indirect line to go from where I started to where I am today, but I promise you it all does fit together, kind of like puzzle.
Right.
So my early part of my career, I was actually a respiratory therapist working in hospitals. And then I kind of grew up in the ranks of healthcare and was a vice president of a big hospital in New Jersey.
Right.
We won the National Quality Award, where that was part of my job, was to write that application and ensure that the hospital met all those requirements. So when you do that, you become a consultant. And I actually ended up in the world of healthcare analytics. So you ever hear of the Gallup polls?
I don't think so.
Come on now. You guys
I don't
go,
think so.
when you vote, the Gallup polls say that Donald Trump is ahead by 2 percentage points with a margin of error. Okay. So I was the global chief of healthcare for Gallup.
Wow. Okay.
So I led all of their healthcare polls worldwide, all of their healthcare research and things like that for 4 years. And then I went on to...
So you know how the polls go then?
I do.
So how the fuck I never got polled in like the elections. Why don't I get polled?
So there's first of all, you have to answer the phone because the polling is done by phone. They can't do it
over
by
phone?
old style phone.
Wow, okay.
Because the research shows that people who answer surveys on the web or by text do answer differently than the people who actually show up for polls. So that's a big thing. And then they only survey about 1,000 people because that's how it's predictive of margin. Why are we talking about voting?
Listen, I like talking about voting. I had a question,
You were
guys.
doing the poll stuff.
I had a question about polls. I'm very passionate.
So you don't get polled because you probably
get
don't have an
polled.
old style phone in your house.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Okay, and that's probably because those are the people that show up for the polls.
That's true.
So after that, I worked for a company that does analytics for about 70% of the hospitals in the United States. If you've been you have children, and after you leave the hospital, you get a survey in the mail. You
Yep.
fill it out. It's a company most likely called Press Ganey. You probably never paid attention to it. But again, I was an executive for that company early on. Worked there for 9 years, and we went public in 2015. So I had the great pleasure of taking some financial earnouts from that experience and saying, what do I really want to do with my life now that I've lived a whole lifetime before I even turned 40 years old? And so I decided to go back to school, get my doctorate. I got my doctorate in performance psychology, which is an evolution of sports psych. Except we focus on different aspects of performance, not just in athletes. And the dissertation research that I conducted to get my doctorate was the psychological predictors of obesity. So you'd kind of tie together the fact that I was a lifelong enthusiast of fitness, health, exercise, nutrition, all that stuff. Kind of pseudo coaching people along the way in life because people are always like, how do you stay in such great shape and you're so busy traveling 100,000 miles a year for work,
You get
right?
all those questions all
Everybody
the time.
wants to know. So I kind of was doing a little coaching on the side and then, go in and get a PhD in performance psychology and blend it all together. And that's how I ended up where I am now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so what businesses do you own now? Because it looks like you own a few.
So I've actually 2 different sides to what I do now. Okay. I own Truvidity Labs. So Truvidity Labs is a supplement company. It's a small one. It's a small business. Yep. But I just I have a small batch of products that I find helps everyday people with everyday health. And then I'm also a college professor. So I teach psych and biostatistics
Nice.
to college students. I'm also on some doctoral dissertation committees and things like that. But yeah, those are the two things I do. And then part of Truvidity Labs, I do health performance coaching. So I don't do a ton of competition prep. I do a little, I dabble in that a little bit. It's really not my forte. I do health performance coaching. So people who want to get off statins, people who want to get off their diabetes meds, people who want to get off their high blood pressure meds.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I do try my best to work with their medical doctors, PCPs, OBGYNs, whatever it may be, to, collaborate.
Right.
Oftentimes they accuse me of trying to kill people.
It's all this, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do also do like mindful drinking coaching. So people who drink excessive amounts of alcohol or use recreational drugs, I try to teach them moderation.
Nice.
Obviously, abstinence is a great option for some people, but for some people it's not.
Right.
And so I try to teach them more mindful techniques so that they can live a healthier life. We're back.
Psychology.
Yes.
Right? When you went to school for that, you're good with the mind then, obviously. That goes without being said, right?
Yeah.
How do we get, okay, I have a pretty big question. There's a lot of successful people, right? What traits have you found in your career that attribute to success?
Oh, so from a mindful perspective and a psych perspective, okay. I would say that people who are very goal-oriented tend to be more successful. And so I think that we sometimes see that as people with big aspirations or people who have these kind of like big vision as goal. And not necessarily, it's people who can see small wins in the everyday successes, if you will. So I think that that's goal-oriented from what I've seen. I also think that people, again, research shows and also my experience, people with that intrinsic motivation, so people who do things because they intrinsically or internally get a satisfaction for what they're doing tend to be more successful than the people who are always looking for that external validation is another big one too. I would probably put those two together.
Right. Do you feel like a lot of successful people like have to be humble and have to always think they're at the bottom? Because I'm just speaking from an example. Like, it doesn't matter how many times we win shows, how big I get, how much money I make, I still feel like I'm at the bottom. Like I was really just telling someone the other day, like I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I'm doing a lot, but I feel like that. You know?
So there's a saying that I'm not going to take credit for, but I will give credit to my husband's old shihan or sensei, and so he used to say that always beat yesterday's best. And I think that is that mindset. It's funny, and just the other day I posted something on my social media that said that no matter where I am, I'm always feeling there's something more that I can accomplish. And people who know me, like, they kind of say like, wow, I thought that you were like an healthcare analytics executive. I thought that you were a competitive bodybuilder. I thought that you were a college. I'm all of those things because I'm always like you. I'm always saying, even though I've done all those things, I still feel like there's something I'm missing. I could be doing even more. And so I think there's a fine balance of always feeling satisfied and content with what you have accomplished, but always kind of going, so then what else could I do? And it's probably why the bodybuilding world fits so well with all of us, right? Because that is what bodybuilding is. It's like being able to look at yourself and saying, damn, I look good. But that minutes later, you go, and what else could I do?
What can I do to be better?
Right? What could I tweak this? Could I be leaner? Could I be harder? Could I be bigger? Could I get this more dense? Like, I think that's why bodybuilding succeeds so well.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll hop off phone calls with people and they're like, oh, I'm just so out of shape. Like, I look so bad. And like, I need to do this. And then they send me pictures and I'm like, dude, girl. Okay, first of all, like you look 10 out of 10, amazing. But I see that the people who are the most successful are the hardest on themselves because they have to constantly progress, constantly grow. And I feel like in bodybuilding, it's really tough because it almost has not a good obsession with it sometimes. I feel like you can overdo it in bodybuilding, like pick your body apart where your mind starts spiraling. So
and I think that is the big difference between being content with where you are but still being hungry for more. Think about that. I mean, how many people do you know that have that fine line where they fall below it and they're never feeling satisfied? They have no self-esteem. They have no self-confidence. They're totally insecure. Like, where does that line get drawn where you can say, like, I can look in the mirror and have pure body dysmorphia and say, I look terrible. And, it's funny with people who aren't in this industry and they'll look at you and they'll go, you look amazing. Wait, no. You don't know what I look like. Like right now, I don't look great. And they think you're crazy. But where is that line that there are people that, you look and they go, they're in great shape, but they don't see it. And it makes them fall into that insecure state as opposed to feeling confident, but still being hungry. And there is a very fine line there. And so I think that when you do health performance coaching with people like that, you have to be very, very careful. And it's probably something that I'm very aware of when people come to me after being destroyed by bodybuilding coaches who, really kind of beat them down into believing that they don't have a good physique. They don't know what they're doing. They couldn't possibly learn how to do any of this unless they're told exactly what to eat, how to do it. And they come to you going, I look terrible. And you go, you don't look terrible. Like, there's a fine balance there to teach people.
Yeah, I think if you're just getting started and you're looking at Chris Bumstead and you're a class weight guy,
dude, oh my gosh,
brother, I look like shit compared to Chris Bumstead, right? But I don't look bad compared to 99% of the population. So I think it's always about who you have your goal set. It's
relative.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And I think another big thing too that has allowed me to stay in this industry, we'll call it, because I don't call it a sport. I really do think it's more of a beauty pageant than anything. Kind of. It's a show, right? But how I've stayed in this industry for so long is because I do think I level set my expectations given the amount of priority I want to give it in my life, the amount of effort I want to put into it, and what my long-term aspirations are for it.
Right.
Yeah. So when you were coaching and all that type of stuff, obviously you're doing psychology. So, or you're, have that psychology degree.
Yeah.
With that, utilizing that and unlocking people's mind, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a big portion of it. What kind of techniques do you utilize in order to kind of like turn that naysayer into a positive thinking, forward momentum type of person?
Okay, good. That's actually a really good question. So I think the first thing is to understand what people, and this is a thing a lot of people say is what's their why, right? So that's what you get into that whole motivation side of it. So when you start asking people, why are you doing this? Why are you doing any of this? It's really, really important because when it gets hard, you have to remind them of their why, right? So if you've got somebody, like I have a client she's like 5'1", 5'2". She started off at 328. That's that's fairly high levels of body fat for fairly
for that short
woman. And so she was down to about 260 something, and she started to get a little bit sloppy about things, right? And started kind of creeping up on the weight. And you talk about, what's her why? Why are you doing this? Let's remind ourselves, she wants to live a longer life. She wants to be more active. Those are all things that are really very internal, not necessarily looking a certain way. But, you pinpoint something like, well, I get frustrated. I remind her of that emotional connection. Remember that time you told me you were frustrated that when your husband goes for his jogs or his walks, you just can't keep up with him. And you're afraid that that's going to be something that he continues to enjoy and you can't join in with him. And then she got very emotional. I go, that's what we got to focus on. So I think that that's a big piece of it is really trying to make sure that people understand why they're doing it, and especially for competitors, because when you start getting deep into prep and hunger kicks in and the lack of sleep kicks in and life priorities start coming into play, and it's really hard to pack your meals and, fight through hunger and people eating nachos in front of you while you're having your, clean chicken and veggies. And, you have to remind yourself what the purpose of all of this is, because if you really don't have a reason to do it, there's no reason to do it in the moment.
Exactly.
I think the second big thing too is also helping them understand some short-term goals and vision.
Exactly.
Right?
So they can reach these milestones along the way.
Yes.
Instead of a huge goal of getting to.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think that gets back to kind of looking at the big pros and seeing that as your kind of ultimate vision. It's like, all right, reel it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's, that's a combination of really good genetics, a ridiculous amount of prioritization, a ton of time, potentially a ton of,
Other
PEDs and things like that, performance enhancing drugs that you're not willing to do, willing to take, willing to have, that you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yep,
And then I think the last big thing for me is, again, getting to their why, helping them set a really clear vision for what they want. And then I think the last thing is education. I do what I call little mini education sessions every single. So when we do check-ins, my check-ins aren't about, what's your weight, what have you been eating, what's your, nutrition like, what's your exercise been like. It's more about let's understand what went well this week and didn't, and understand why it did. And so we start breaking down, for example, I was really tired this week. All right, well, let's talk about what causes fatigue.
Exactly.
All right, is it diet fatigue? Is it physical fatigue? Is it stress fatigue? I find that when you teach people things and they understand why things work or aren't working for them, they're more likely to push past those tough moments because they understand why they're fatigued or why they're hungry or why this is difficult.
Yeah. No, that's great because in my check-in sheet for my athletes, that's a great question that I have. What went well this week? What went right?
Yeah.
What went wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, like you said, you try to break it down and give them a teaching moment and understand that type of stuff. Yeah. You get it all the time. I mean, I had this one athlete, and he's doing better now. But, I had him for a while, and he was very overweight. He wants to compete. We're gonna do he wants to do the Sarasota show, right? So we're getting him going to there. However, he continued to tell me, he's like, when is it gonna get hard? He's like, man, this stuff is easy. I was like,
that's what the fucking Jay says.
I was like, I really want you to keep that attitude. Just please keep that attitude, right? Just, and then next week, this stuff is easy. When is it going to get harder? Okay, man. Yeah, just, I love it. Keep that. I love that energy, right? And then literally, like, he didn't check in. I'm like, this is
here we go.
Well, here we go. It must have gotten hard. Must have got hard, huh?
It got hard.
Buddy, what's going on, dude? And then I saw him that week, and he told me, yeah, man, I'm looking at you, Pete. I had some ice cream. You did what now? I had ice cream. How? Okay, cool. How much?
Yeah.
I had a mug of ice cream. One mug.
Yeah, define mug.
This is exactly what I said.
It's a fine mug.
Fine mug.
I can make it.
He goes like this. I was like, well, that's a fucking, what kind of mug is that?
That's a quarter can.
Holy shit. And he said he had 3 of them. You had 3 mugs, huh? Yeah. So, when things get hard and all that kind of stuff, then I had to remind him and go back to the why and how we're, where we started, where we're currently at, how much weight he's lost, everything that he's done to get to this point. And then again, you continue to tell me, when is it going to get hard?
Yeah.
And then the moment it got hard,
you gave in.
You broke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's actually, this is a great kind of like a teaching moment that I give to my clients when they have these types of situations. And it was actually a piece of my dissertation research that I did. It's called strict dietary restraint or cognitive restraint. In science, it's actually called the what the hell effect. I kid you not. Like, if you look it up, it's called the what the hell effect. Yeah. And basically what it says is that if you exert strict dietary restraint for an extended period of time, eventually that does lead to greater chances of obesity or predicts obesity. Whereas flexible dietary restraint has a more likelihood of being successful at either reducing rate or managing lower weight. In relative terms, what this means is that if you approach every single day saying, I can't eat this, I can't have that, I have to eat X amount of calories, I have to do this much cardio, I have to this, and everything is super, super strict and planned out and rigid, you eventually kind of go, I cannot have to have the ice cream. And then the what the hell effect kicks in. So they do, I'm just going to have a little bit of ice cream. What the hell? You know what? I'm just going to eat all the ice cream because I can't. Tomorrow I'm going to start over. And this is what happens with, kind of the general population is this kind of what the hell effect kicks in with anything. It's either, alcoholics when they stop drinking and they go sober and they have that one sip. That's why they tell them they have to be very careful with one sip because one sip leads to 12 beers, right? Yeah. Because that's cognitive restraint.
True.
So when you teach people that and you say, so I want you to understand that if you're going to be successful, you have to find opportunities to give yourself a little bit of that flexibility. So, and it has to be structured flexibility, right? So that what the hell effect doesn't kick in because you go, okay, I'm going to have a quarter cup of ice cream. And it's going to that's why cheat meals, I hate using that term cheat meal, but that's why cheat meals work well if you structure 100%.
Them. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I like to do. So, there's a certain point in time during the prep to where you're going to cut out that cheat meal, you know what I mean? But again, like you're saying, it gives them that flexibility. But then also, if you have that carb cycle, then you're basically manipulating.
Right.
You're manipulating the metabolism, right? So it just makes things.
Correct.
Here's the thing. We're all bodybuilders, right? There comes a point where there's no more fucking cheat meals. And
Absolutely.
Sometimes there's no high carbs, right?
Correct.
Sometimes you have to push conditioning. And at some point, people need to understand that it's going to get hard. And you can't fucking cheat. You can't have that type of ice cream because guess what? You're second place in my eyes now, right? You're going for first place. And that's what we try to teach. But I think the biggest people who have problems with this are people in the off season, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the off season, I preach this so much. I cannot tell you. Like, I have people text me, and like they're deep. They don't even have a show thought about. Hey, coach, like my whole family's getting together for this huge feast. Like, I already did my cheat meal this week. Like, can I have some? Yes. Bro, you don't even have a show picked out.
Off season.
Correct.
Bro, yes, 100%. Enjoy your fucking life. So I do think the off-season clients have the most struggle with that.
Yeah, and I think that
they find it hard to turn it off.
They do, and I think for me, again, the health performance clients that I have, it's a real struggle because they don't have a show date ever. They don't have necessarily an end point that they're working towards. This is just about changing their life and creating that balance on an ongoing basis. So what I try to do for them is create like little mini cycles for them of these little mini goals so that they do feel like they've got something that they're working towards. Right. It becomes challenging because they are they always have a reason to say, well, it's my birthday, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's Christmas. There's always something, right? It's a vacation, especially living in Marco Island. We live in a place where everybody comes to visit for vacation. So there's always a chance to go out for your favorite restaurant or have dessert or have an espresso martini.
I think what it is to work your fucking ass off so that way when you do have those meals, you don't feel so damn bad. Like I gotta, like Dustin, he works his ass off. So for Father's Day, what did I do for Father's Day?
I got a meal, man.
Okay,
a nice meal. But see,
if he was out of shape,
I
can't do that. You can't afford it.
I mean, but at the same time, when I have that meal, boom, I bring my scale, boom, and it's not like I'm weighing specifically the protein in which I had, but I want to know how much I had, and I want to be specific. So instead of just the normal 7 ounces of a protein source, I'm going to do 10. Let's do 10. Let's do a little bit of carb source. Let's see how much. Okay, let's do 150 there. All right, cool. What we got here? A little bit of coleslaw with some pickled onions. All right, that's good for the digestion. Let's toss some of that in there. Boom.
But you're not doing that every day. For weeks at a time.
Exactly. He has that competitive mindset. So instead of him going out, okay, coach, give me a meal. Cool. I'm going to go get pizza, pasta, cookies, ice cream, milkshake. Actually, I'm going to order something else from another place. I'm going to bring it over here because bro, oh my God. So he would have woke up 10 pounds heavier. No, he woke up lighter. So that's what we do. We increase food now.
And then at the same time, when I have those meals, I also walk. Let's just say he gave me a fat cheat meal. He's like, hey, go eat a fucking cheat meal. I fucking eat this whole cheat meal. And there's a certain level of like that satiety that I know that I don't want to go beyond. But there's some people, right, that don't have that ability to cut it off.
Correct.
Right, I can't.
And then eat more.
I can't.
They let it rest and then they go for
There's
more.
a certain level that I'm looking for, and then at that point I'll cut it off. And then I'll wait and I'll digest maybe like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I go for a walk. 15-20-minute walk.
And I think another big thing that comes up in a lot of my conversations with, again, health performance clients, because I know that a lot of the audience that you guys cover is bodybuilders, but I think that there's a lot.
Clients too.
I think another big thing, and I think, especially, I think this also plays in for bodybuilders off season, is an awareness, is that mindfulness piece of it. So like, don't go into, if you want to go out and say, I'm going to have the bread, I'm going to have the appetizers, I'm going to have a glass of wine, I'm going to have the chicken parmesan and the pasta, I am going to have tiramisu, and I'm going to have an espresso martini. Know that that's 2 days worth of your calories if you're a female, right? And as long as you go at it with that understanding that, so that two things. Number one is you know that the rest of the week you probably got to keep things a little lighter, a little leaner, got to keep it all in balance. You probably got to restore your gut health because you're destroying it in one day.
For sure.
Right? You got to increase some of that water to kind of keep everything flushed out.
Walk a little bit more.
And don't freak out when the scale pops up 2 or 3 pounds for probably 5 days.
Or don't even look at the scale.
Don't be surprised.
Because every one of my fit lifestyle clients, so to speak, my health clients that want to, get into better shape, I get that whole, my weight's up again. Like I go, well, what did you eat this weekend? Well, I had that great meal. Exactly. So don't be surprised. And it's just kind of building that level of awareness. And again, it's the whole, what's your goal and what's your vision and what are you doing with this? And as long as you're making decisions that line up with all of those things, you can't put your head in the sand and go, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. I don't know why I'm not leaning out. Like me, I did a show a couple weeks ago. I'm doing a show next week. 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
What show are you doing?
St. Pete Pro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We'll be there.
We got a lot of people there. Let's go.
But like for me, right now, if I sit there and go, you know what? I really just feel like I could use some sushi right now. Maybe that does take me away from first. Or that's okay with me. I'm 51 years old. Like I'm all right with that. I'm just there to
stage.
Correct.
And fucking keep this lifestyle going. I love
this. But not everybody should have that mindset.
Right. But here's the thing is you have that goal. You don't care about getting overall and going whatever. You're enjoying your life. Some people have that goal.
Correct.
But then still cheat and still complain and still blame their coach even though they're the one fucking cheating.
You can't.
Like you're as much as you put in has to meet your goal, right? Correct. And it's almost the same way when like people want to take PDs and stuff or don't want to take PDs. Like I got a lot of bikini girls who come in or just girls in general like, I want to do wellness. Okay, but you want to be natural and you want to be wellness in the NPC. It's not going to happen, right? I'm sorry, and I'm always shoot people straight. And I think it's the same way with drugs. Like your goal, if you have the goal of being Miss Olympia, you gotta
know you're taking a shit ton of drugs.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like and I think Sebastian, right? I'm talking about my client Sebastian. People hammer him. Right, they've been hammering him for years, saying that he pulls out of shows, he does all this, he's all that, talking a lot of crap. People forget how young this kid is.
Yeah, he's young as fuck.
He's like really young. Like I think he's like 25. Don't mistake me, Sebastian. 24, 25. Right? He's super young kid. He has 10, 15 years to be able to develop his physique. So that's why I've never been truly so hard on him.
Sure.
I mean, there's nobody harder on him than me and Dustin, but I feel like from the outside world, they don't understand that he's still a young guy. He's still developing his physique. So he's doing State Pro. If he doesn't win, he's going to win. But if he doesn't win, he's versus this guy's client too. He's going to win.
Either way, he's versus my client. Boy, you better come with it.
But I'm just saying, even if he doesn't win, it's okay because he's still developing his physique. But he had that goal. Like he's like, he wants to do it.
And he's nailing it this time.
He's nailing it this time. And I'm proud of him. So it's like, it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen like Dustin, like you go out there and one shot it, right? Some people have to learn what to do and what not to do, learn what works, what doesn't work, and then eventually get it right. And I think that takes a good coach to be able to, like, he's told me this before, like, to be patient with him. You need a coach who's gonna be patient. Same way as all your clients in lifestyle, man. Like, if you get a client that cheats every day, every week, you're not gonna give up on him.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make a good coach.
No, you know? And by the way, it's funny. The car ride up here, I met with one of my clients, and I said to her these words. I literally said to her, I said, I feel like some days I want you to lose weight more than you want to lose weight.
Yeah. That's always the case. I believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Always. That's
I said, and if you want to shift into, let's maintain this. So she's lost 37 pounds.
Are you talking about this is the heavier one?
No, it's another woman.
Okay.
Another young girl, 27 years old, 28 years old. And she's lost like 37 pounds. It's been a year, which is, again, nice, slow, steady.
That's good.
She's been kind of stable there for about 5 or 6 weeks now. And I said, if you want to kind of shift into some maintenance right now, that's okay. We did that already, but we can do it again if you're just kind of not feeling it right now. She goes, no, I really do want to lose weight. I go, but your actions tell me different. Exactly. Your effort tells me different. And I know you have long work days, and I know you're tired. But like at some point, I feel like every week that we meet, we go over the things that are tough and the things that are hard. It's the same conversations.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, it's like, okay, you already identified the problem, and we're identifying the same problem over and over and over.
We either have to change it or stop the conversation.
So, in understanding that, if you're continuously doing the same thing, that means that you accept the action in which you are doing.
Yeah.
So you don't want to change. You're okay with where you're at.
And again, staying with where you're at right now for a while you kind of deal with some other life things, that's okay. Yes. I'm okay with that. But we can't keep on saying, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to do these things.
Yes.
It doesn't work like
because
that.
Because the results that you're looking for are always going to be on the opposite side of the hard work that you're not willing to do.
Yeah. And I think, it's funny. People ask me sometimes who's harder, the competitor clients or the health performance clients.
I would say it's the lifestyle. My health performance clients are pretty, but I would say on the other opposite side of that spectrum, my competitors are all in their fucking heads.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. They're both difficult for both different reasons.
I could take the psychology test and ace that motherfucker.
Yeah.
After all the years.
Yeah. I know.
We got a master's degree at this point. Oh my God.
Honestly, it's why I went back and got my PhD because telling people, how much protein to eat and how many carbs to eat and how to carb cycle. I mean, all that stuff is like book knowledge that you need to have, right? You need to develop it. Yeah. But like going deeper and deeper into the clinical nutrition side of things, although fascinating to me, I felt like I could just do enough self-study on it to get better at what I do.
Right.
But peeling back the onion layers of somebody's brain to understand what motivates them to stick to habits that lead to ultimate health, that live long lives. And all. To me, the fact that you can literally show somebody the pathway to get into great shape, to have great health, to live a long, healthy life, and they choose to deviate 180 degrees from it is shocking to me. Well, that's why I did that.
It's almost like smoking, right? If you look at like, in the 80s, but everyone was smoking, bro. We didn't know this shit was going to kill you.
But now we know.
And now we know. But guess what? People are still fucking doing it.
Yeah.
Like, my mom, my grandma, my grandpa, thank God, stopped. My mom, my grandma, bro, they smoke all day.
Yep.
Dude, you're going to die. Like, this shit is killing you, but they're still doing it.
Yep.
And it's the same way. You can get in shape if you just put down the fucking
Do you know why that is?
You don't do it.
So it's the immediate negative reinforcement that's missing. So, for example, you take your hand and you put it onto a hot stove and you burn it. So you pull your hand away. That's an immediate negative reinforcement that tells your brain, don't do something. Right. You see, if you put your hand over that stove a few times and you didn't get burned, like an induction stove, you're like, okay, hold on. No, it's actually good. I could put my hand there, right? After a while, your brain tells you that putting your hand on top of a lit stove is really safe because you don't have the immediate negative reinforcement that tells you that causes damage. You see, every time you smoke and you breathe and you wake up the next morning with, you're fine, right?
still
So you don't realize that whether it's, eating crappy food and high sugar that leads to the issues with plaque buildup in your arteries that actually builds up heart disease and not cholesterol, or, eating too many calories that leads to obesity, which leads to all the health issues associated with that, or eating too much sugar as a child that leads to diabetes, all those things, right? Because every single day that you eat a little bit of sugar, a couple of Twinkies, and you don't end up dying, your brain tells you, oh, that's fine to do. And smoking is the same thing.
And then now you got.
I'm talking about my Twinkies.
Do they even make those anymore?
I don't think so.
Got all the flavors. Your Twinkies got a new cupcake coming out.
Yeah.
It's
different snacks, okay, guys?
Anyways, but I mean, okay, so now we had smoking back in the day. Now we got fucking vaping.
Yeah.
And we don't know the long-term effects of that. Not only with that, we have, all these kids looking at these grown-ups continuing to vape. And I've seen like 12-year-olds with vapes.
Yeah,
What
so
the hell's
by the
going
way,
on?
so we've got enough data now on vaping that we've got about 5 or 6 years of data now that we actually do find there's something called popcorn lung, which is emphysema, which it's so funny that they call it popcorn. It's emphysema. You don't sugarcoat that shit. It's emphysema. And there is a direct correlation prediction
With vape.
of vaping. Wow. And my husband, God bless him, 60 years old, vapes. Drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And literally every day I just look over and I try not to be that nagging wife. By the way, can I remind you that I'm a respiratory therapist, a registered respiratory therapist? Yes. So I sit there and I just go, could you please put that down? Okay, sure. Because you know what? Every time he takes a drag on that vape and he puts it down and he still breathes, it tells his mind that it's not going to kill him.
You just take the vape and you stick it in his water cup.
Yeah. So so one of the things that I do with people to get inside their head when they're making bad decisions is to try to give them a crystal ball of what the future looks like if they continue to make those bad decisions. And what does it look like? What does the next 5 years? So I have a guy who came to me that was drinking 20 to 30 ounces of vodka a day.
Whoa,
That's a lot of vodka.
Jeez.
And his doctor
I would
told
not
him,
be standing.
Yeah. And that was like consistently every single day, a liter of vodka. And his doctor told him that if
A whole liter.
That's 33 ounces. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, it's a lot of alcohol. And he face planted through a glass table. I mean, there was it was bad. He had a mini stroke, and so his doctor told him if he continued to drink this way, he would be dead within probably 5 years at best. Best. He already has brain atrophy because alcohol, although you can replenish the liver, which is a beautiful thing. It's remarkable to me how the liver just restores itself, but the brain does not. The brain atrophy does not come back. Or the brain doesn't come back from the atrophy. And so he quit drinking, cold turkey. Yeah. Right. And in 90 days, he found himself so depressed because, all of his dopamine receptors were just deadened. And he had no purpose of getting up and getting out of bed in the morning because, quite frankly,
why?
The thing that he enjoyed the most was gone. That he became severely depressed and suicidal. So his wife reached out to me and said, is there anything you could do to help? Is there a way that you could help him learn how to drink a little? Because this whole abstinence thing for 90 days is working from a health perspective, but killing him in the mind.
Yeah.
And anyway, it took us about a year to teach him mindful drinking techniques. And one of the things that I had to give him every single week was a crystal ball into what his future looked like and what his wife's future looked like after he died. Because he was going to die if he continued to drink this way. Yeah. And taking care of him as a 64-year-old man who had no concept.
But I don't think that people give a shit, and they don't think it's going to happen to them.
Yeah.
Like, nobody thinks that that's just going to happen. Like, if it happens, it's okay. But then when it happens, all hell breaks loose, and now the reality's here.
Do you know how many people call me and say, I got diagnosed with lung cancer, I need to stop smoking? Why did you have to get diagnosed with lung cancer?
Yeah. And you knew the consequences when you're smoking for fucking 50 years.
I got a guy that just started with me. He was 408 pounds and he decided it's time to lose weight. I go, at 408 pounds? At 308 pounds, you probably should have decided it was time to lose weight.
It could be like those sisters. You know what I'm saying? They're pushing what? 1,000 pounds?
600.
Something like that?
600-pound sisters? 1,000 pounds?
One's 1,000 pounds, I think.
My cola.
Okay, but that takes us on to a totally different topic, which is we've glorified self-acceptance.
Exactly.
We've glorified self-acceptance.
Let's talk about fat people.
Come on, Deb. My issue with this whole thing is love yourself, self-acceptance, right? Appreciate what you've been given and things like that. But do not use that as an excuse to destroy your health.
100%.
And healthy at every size is absolute bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. It is a way to mask self-esteem issues by telling people that they are beautiful,
Yeah.
Yes.
and as opposed to you are beautiful on the inside and you are beautiful on the outside, but you're destroying your health in the spirit of self-acceptance.
So what is it? What are your thoughts on the new GLP-1s and Ozempic, and now that they got the little?
Okay, so I partner up with a couple of different med practices that prescribe GLP-1s because they recognize, their practitioners recognize that it is a short-term solution to get it started for people who really need the help, but you have to change behavior.
Absolutely, 100%. And then it was keyword short-term, but these people aren't fucking doing short-term.
Correct. Yeah. So there's two issues that have gone on here. Now, it's going to stop in July.
Okay, go on.
So what happened was when the GLP-1s came out for weight loss, they suddenly became mainstreamed, and everybody that needed to lose 25 pounds that didn't want to change their diet and exercise got a prescription for it. Well, all of a sudden now you get a shortage of these medications. And the FDA, so I can speak on both sides here because I did work for a pharmaceutical company for a short period of time doing research. And you spend a lot of money and a lot of years developing a drug. Millions and millions of dollars goes into developing a drug. So when you launch it, the FDA gives you protection on that trade name for a period of time to try to recoup some of the money, because otherwise it's eventually what happens is like Tylenol versus acetaminophen or Advil and ibuprofen. Eventually the generic companies, they just copy your molecular structure and they put it out there. I mean, anybody can make this stuff if they want to. Just look on the back of it, you can make it. But I spent a lot of money developing it, right? So when Ozempic, Wegovy, and all the brand names that when everybody started getting prescribed this stuff for weight loss, all of a sudden they couldn't produce it fast enough to meet public demand. So the FDA said, hold on, we're going to put your trademark, your patent protection on hold because we can't deny patients their medication because you can't meet demand. So we're going to allow these compounding pharmacies to be able to kind of, in their cauldron, mix it up and ship it out there. And all of a sudden you have this genesis of every person out there that needs to lose 25 pounds getting a prescription for compounded semaglutide, tirzepatide, and duglutide. So here's the issue. That went on for the last 2 years. And everyone under the sun who is involved in a compound pharmacy realized that they can make a shit ton of money by charging people half of what it costs to get the trade drug, and to everybody that just wants to lose weight, because now we could prescribe it ourselves. Okay. So the shortage is now resolved, and they are putting the patent protection back into place. July. So all those compounding pharmacies that were making those, the semaglutides, tirzepatides, and duraglutides now can no longer do that.
Copy.
And anybody that wants to get these drugs now has to get it through the pharmacy, through the trade name, which now costs not $300 a month, but $700 or $800 a month.
Got you.
And you're going to see people like us getting a lot of phone calls going, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?
What can I do? Just come to me or come to him."
Here's, by the way, you should know this, and I would say this out the kind of a public service announcement for anybody who is coming off of these drugs. There are three things that these drugs do. One is they mess around with your brain chemistry that suppresses your appetite.
Correct.
Okay, pretty powerful stuff. But you can also do that with protein and fiber and water. We'll just leave that alone. But it does mess with your brain chemistry, and it tells you don't eat food. The second thing that it does is it slows your digestion down, right? Which again sends these kind of signaling receptors in your abdomen of don't eat more food because I'm still full, right? Okay. You can also do that with fiber, which is another story. Okay, so we're not going to touch about that. And then the third thing that it does is it actually does regulate, it actually changes the regulation of glucose metabolism in the body, right? With your beta cells and things like that. A little harder to do that with food, although you can manipulate some insulin sensitivity and stuff like that. Okay. Here's the problem with coming off of these drugs, and everybody needs to know this point who's listening to this podcast.
Please, thank you, and definitely take notes, because this is very
so
important. It's all about coming off of this drug, because you're not supposed to be on it.
You're not supposed to be on it for a long
amount of time because you can go through digestional paralysis, and you don't fucking want that. Go ahead.
Correct. Yes. So what people don't understand, I'll give you the punchline here, is about 60 to 70% of people who come off of these drugs end up with a bowel obstruction.
Exactly.
Now, not to the point that they actually need to be hospitalized or have surgery, but it is pretty damn uncomfortable. It can actually have long-term gut health issues. What happens is you come off of these drugs, and within a day or two, the appetite suppression wears away, and they suddenly get their appetite back, and they start consuming lots of foods. And most of us go for those hyperpalatable foods, and very voluminous, and and we don't necessarily go for like chicken and vegetables. We tend to go for the good stuff. And so now what you're doing is stuffing your face with all these really like heavy, fatty, carb-heavy, caloric dense foods, and our digestion hasn't caught up yet. Our digestive process is still super, super slow. And those receptors that were like really heightened sensitivity have now been numbed.
Exactly.
And so now you don't recognize that you are over full. Your appetite kicks in. Now you've actually eaten food that spike your insulin, which drops your ghrelin, and everything starts going haywire, and you eat even more food. And within about a week, you have a mild bowel obstruction, and their belly's out like this. They're really uncomfortable, and they put on like 20 pounds in a month. And it's scary.
It's almost like smoking, though. You know, like from what I've seen, again, a lot of people want to stay on it. What we've seen, they don't think they should get off, right? And sounds to me like you're not a fan of this. Is that true?
I'm not a fan of long-term use.
No, exactly.
I'm
what's long-term use for you?
Beyond 6 months.
So you think you're okay? It's 12 weeks. Okay, so for bodybuilding prep, if you want to do it for the last 8 weeks of prep, you think that's totally fine?
I don't think it has any. I don't think it has any position, place, or use in bodybuilding at all. At all.
But it's here though.
I know, and I don't think it should be used.
No. Yeah.
And again, if you think about what they're encouraging it to do is to basically, stimulate the beta cells to go and use fat for storage from storage for fuel.
Yep.
I mean, you could do that shit with just a caloric deficit and some exercise.
You know how it is. It's
Absolutely.
really hard. So, like, again, there's a lot of athletes that'll never see their true potential because they can't put the fucking fork down. We've talked about this on every episode since this product came out, right? People they want to achieve victory. They want to win.
Sure.
They don't have the mindset to put the fork down, right? So now they're taking this product, and I'm not gonna lie, we have a few clients on my team taking this product. He's taking the product. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, this is my guinea pig, a little bit, because I need somebody professional.
I wanted to get it.
And tell you what it's worth.
And I want to see when he gets off.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever taken it. What happens, Dustin, when we get off? Because nobody's getting fuck off. So we got to figure this shit out.
Yeah. So you got to
I'm not
really
going to have a
watch.
problem with it.
No, you won't.
So, the thing is like, okay, this is the new wave. This is where it's going. You already seen that Nick Walker was on it now, you know, and he's able to kind of pull his stomach in a little bit more. Well, with the retatrutide, not only is it doing those things that you just spoke about, but it also helps reduce inflammation, right? All over. So you're reducing inflammation. On top of that, you're speeding up a little bit of metabolism. So with the retatrutide, so it does that as well. And like you were talking about that chemical response of the mind, it has retatrutide also has an ability that if you are and do have an addictive personality for a certain something, it shuts it off. Right. So in terms of like that food noise, when you get into the depths and the thick of all of that type of right, some people just can't do it.
They can't do it. That's
and so although there is an element of having to embrace the struggle. And in fact, your mindset, right, was always your superpower in a bodybuilder. That gave you your competitive advantage.
Right.
If you had that strong mindset and you were able to just push through, you had the competitive advantage.
Sure.
You were able to reach that elite level of conditioning, which these people cannot do, right? Or they would quit. Now we are allowing access to that because if you think about it, this is kind of like how the analogy that I give. Now, when you get to those 6 weeks and beyond into your competition, that food hunger demon just starts creeping up, right? This is my analogy is like you're inside a room and then all of a sudden here comes freaking pizza. Hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time, man. But what's going on, dude? I think you need to come and holler at me. Let's go on a date real quick. And then ice cream's over here, like, dude, no. Like, let me.
By the way, in my world,
burgers
pizza,
over here, fries are over here.
Pizza sounds like Barry White in my world.
Right? You know what I mean? Right? And then you got pasta and fucking chicken parmigiana that you just saw, and now you're scrolling the gosh darn freaking Instagram, and then it's all of a sudden it's just food.
Yeah.
And you're watching this guy and he's like, all right, we're eating fucking every single dang cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. Come on with me. Here's this one. And you're like, oh my God, you can sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
But let's just say you take the retatrutide, but you have all these noises.
It puts on the blinders.
And then you put the retatrutide in and all of a sudden it goes shh.
Yep.
And you're like,
I think though, like any PED, I think it's a values decision that people make for any PED, and I think it falls under all of them, whether it's diazide or
exactly,
right? I mean,
clenbuterol,
any of it. I think it all falls into the same realm. And again, my philosophy is usually more kind of naturalistic, right? Just because of what my goals are and how far I want to take myself. If I have clients on that I work with that they want to take things to a different level, It's a different story, and I don't judge that. You know, like people, you know, it's one. Who was it? You know, Dan Ray, photographer. He goes, you know, I wonder why you don't do the natural shows because you look like you're natural. I was like, thank you. I'm not sure if I take that as a compliment or
you
not.
Look natural.
I go, but you know what? The fact that I do try to maintain a more natural look, I do take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I said, but I'm not natural, so I can't. You know,
exactly.
I don't judge people who choose not to be. I don't judge people that use these drugs. I just don't know that they have a place from the standpoint of long-term use.
Right, definitely not long-term.
So,
Absolutely
you
not.
know, if like I said, if I had a red button and I could push it and it would delete it, I'd be okay with that. It almost reminds me like a zombie apocalypse, bro. Like it's imagine like we're sitting here, right? And I've been hearing about this product. I know Tim Alice uses. He's a big fan, right?
Yeah.
He's for Body Fusion. I hear all this shit. Tim Alice was using it 2 years ago when Ozempic was there, before they even came out with all this other shit. It's almost like a fucking zombie apocalypse, dude. You start hearing that shit in China, what's Ozempic, whatever, until it hits your fucking back door. And then everyone says, oh, I don't need to think about food. I could just take this little compound. I'm already doing test, trend, Winstrol.
What's the difference? Just throw it in there.
What's the difference, right?
So true.
So it's here now. It's not going anywhere. I'm on the same
very short-term use.
I think me and him were on the same exact mindset that you are. I think it has nowhere near in professional bodybuilding, but it is here.
Yep. It's the way
would I rather take advantage of the couple weeks if he wants to do it and have his save his mind, because I think it's helped him a lot.
Definitely helped me a lot.
Business,
a
lot less on food, and I've been seeing a pretty good just with a few athletes. Only like my top dogs are really taking this right now if they want to, and then I have other top dogs that aren't. Natalia and Brown, they're fucking peeled to their mind. They will never take it. So
too easy.
It's just cool. But I want to switch up a little bit. What are some scams in the fitness industry? I have mine, which I really want to get into. But let's start with you first. What are we doing?
Scams in the fitness. All right,
lies that have been told. Just all
right,
whatever.
So maybe this is going to be a little bit controversial, but
absolutely.
Love controversy.
Let's go.
It's kind of a macro topic, it's how let's push everybody to go pro. That was never a thing. I started in bodybuilding. Don't judge, but in 1991.
Yep.
I started lifting in 1990. You guys weren't born then.
I was born in 85.
A little baby.
All right, okay.
I'm 40.
All right, okay. So 1991, I started lifting, and I did my first show in 1993.
Wow.
And back then it was local regional shows, and you had to register for it weeks in advance because you had to mail in your money order and your registration form, right? And you had no idea who was going to be at the show until you got there. There was nothing, you had to go to the Mr. Olympia to watch it, or you waited for the magazine to come back and things like that, right? And there was this sense of, if you're not at that level, you stay going to your local shows year after year after year, and you build your credibility, and you get your stripes, and you get your experience, and you leave the big stage for the people that this is their job. This is where they earn a living, right? I think that we have bastardized amateur bodybuilding. I think that every single person that goes to a local show, gets up on stage, and qualifies for nationals, I think, and this is where the scam comes into play. I'm gonna point the finger at the coaches, especially so let's go to nationals. Let's prep for nationals. People say, why aren't you going to Masters Nationals? Like, I don't have a Masters Nationals qualified body. Like, why would I do that? No, I'm going to get on the stage at the local Chansey shows and the St. Pete Pro and down in Richie Alvarez's shows, and first call outs. Because that's the quality of the physique that I have. Do I want to push it beyond that to the point that I could do those stages? Maybe I do, and if so, I'd have to change my approach.
Yeah.
And I think that too often the scam comes into play between promoters. I think it's the industry at large, the IFBB, trying to get everybody to get pro status, nationals, and I think we are draining the lifeblood of our local amateur bodybuilding world by doing this. And so I think that that's the biggest scam in bodybuilding right now is everybody goes nationals, everybody goes pro, everybody pays all the big money, and we're draining people of just get up on bodybuilding stages just because you just want to show off your hard work for the day.
Well, I think it's that you hit it pretty much nail on the head. And I think there's a few different ways to look at it. One, the athletes, they feel like even if they got second, third, or fourth, they feel like they lost. They feel like they're even at 30 people. They get second, I lost, I'm shit. I've had people go to nationals. Christina on my team. It was phenomenal. She won her class. She didn't get the pro card. She felt like she died. It was like the worst thing in the world. Like this thing. Dude, like you don't understand. Back in the day, first of all, a few things. Back in the day, I want to hear your thoughts on this too, but back in the day, there was only a few shows, right? There was only a few shows. There was only one person turning pro, maybe 5 pros a year, right? So you had to do that. You had to keep getting. Now there's so many more pro cards. There's so many more options to go. There's little shows that give out pro cards. There's this because it is a money thing. They want pros because they want money. They want you have to, like, for every pro card, it's X amount of money. It's all a money trap, right?
Yeah.
But it is very discouraging when you see athletes that go out there and they work their ass off. They build an amazing physique and they get second and they're like, oh, I'm shit. And then they stay deflated. They stop when second used to be everything. Like, in exactly what we said.
Yeah.
You're built, you're a rare case because not a lot of people want to go not all the way. But with me, I feel like a lot of people do want to go all the way. And you have to chase the physique, not chase the pro card.
Okay,
and a lot of people are
okay. So
the
the analogy that I use is that it's kind of like it's about the wedding and not the marriage. You know somebody that they put so much thought into the wedding and the dress and what color their nails are going to be and the hair and the makeup and the bridal party going off to some bachelorette party in San Antonio and matching outfits with denim and diamonds and all this crap. And I go, do you even like this guy? Like, your marriage, 50% of the people are going to get divorced. Like, it's all about just planning this exotic wedding. And you have these young girls, especially. I'd only focus on the women right now, but like they're like, what color should I paint my nails and what color eyeshadow should I use if I have green eyes but I'm wearing a purple? Like, nobody fucking cares. How about Bill Delts and then get on stage? They're worried so much about their custom suit and their custom shoes. I have the same suit that I had 12 years ago. I have the same shoes from 15 years ago. Like, I don't get a new suit actually I did get a new suit last year, but that's a whole other story. I've been in this for 35 years. I earned one.
You earned one, yeah.
But I think that too many young people go at this with this mindset of it's all about the hoopla around the show and not necessarily about the potential decade you're going to put into building the physique that qualifies you to be on a national stage.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking on that, okay, if you are an athlete, you're going to a regional, local show, and you place second place in a class that only had 3 people, and now you are nationally qualified, don't go to fucking nationals.
Yeah, you want to get me started on that one?
Your coach telling you that you should go to nationals is a shit coach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
agreed.
There's no reason for you to do that. You had 3 people in your class. You got nationally qualified, basically handed to you. Okay.
Totally agree.
It's dumb as shit. So there's that.
Totally.
So yeah, don't go to nationals unless you win an overall at a local show that is sort of big.
Yeah, and
again, chase the body because that's what's going to get you there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and I think what we used to do is. And again, we used to look at the magazine and look at, it used to be, there was no social media, right? So you'd have to wait for the magazine to be mailed to you and you flip through the pages and see what the people looked like that won NPC Universe, used to be called Team U, right? Who won Junior Nationals, right? And you'd go, ooh, okay, I don't look like that. I got a couple more years for that, right? I don't think there's that perspective anymore. Right. I think it's just for every top 5, they all get qualified for nationals. Let's just be honest. There are 1,300 people in those national level shows. Dude. It's a business. And there's nothing wrong with it, by the way. I am not calling out the promoters to say you're taking advantage. Nobody's taking advantage of anything. It's just a business.
It used to be like $250 to register.
Yeah.
It's like $375.
Dude, it's ridiculous per class.
Come on,
fucking
crazy. And then the crossovers, right? So, you've got people who go in and they do 5 different divisions, classes.
Masters. So, real quick, me and Jen, me and Jen, $300 per class. We did bodybuilding and women's physique. We did open 35 and 40. So that's what, that's $1,800, bro. We paid for to get her pro card. Jeez. And she did it, but I'm just saying that $1,800.
$1,800 just for that chance of that pro card, man.
So money.
So yeah, here's my thing in terms of scams or lies, right? So basically, caveating off of yours is that let's just say you do get your fucking pro card.
Never compete again?
You get your fucking pro card. The doors ain't going to open up for you. You're not rich. Shit doesn't fly off the shelves. Sponsorships don't come out the woodwork. You know what I mean? At this point, you are now right back at the bottom.
Yes.
Correct.
You were basically in the amateurs and you were winning. You had a great time. This felt amazing. And then you make it to the pro league, you're absolutely on the bottom. There's fucking levels to this shit. And the guys on the pro leagues have been in the pro leagues, the majority of them, for a few years, at least 5, 10 years. And these guys got stacked freaking muscles. You're not there yet. So now you're going to start losing. So now we're dealing with the psychological portion of it. Now I turn pro. Now I'm not
a winner anymore.
Last call out, so they can't do shit. So it really takes that mindset, right? So I still have the mindset. I could have quit. On my first fucking my pro debut.
10th, I'm done. I'm leaving. Never competing.
Fuck this, dude. This is bullshit. All right, go to my second show. Fucking second calls again. Fuck, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Third show, pro show again.
It humbles you.
Second calls. Fuck, come on, man. I just went to my fourth show right over in Denver. I got second call outs. I placed 8th in open, so this was my my best placing in terms of open.
Yep.
Great. So I'm continuing to move up. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping St. Pete, I'm gonna get that first call out. Let's go. And then but 40 plus, I won the 40 plus. Well,
Yeah.
I can qualify for the 40 plus now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So first year doing 40 plus, I qualified for or qualified for the Master Olympia. That's great. That's awesome. So that gives me a little bit of confidence to come back in it and kind of go.
But you keep on progressing a step on the ladder.
I'm not like stagnant, or I'm not saying that, okay, I lost, I suck, I'm gonna this is the best that I'm ever gonna be. No, I continue to utilize that as fuel to continue to push forward and better myself. Again, if you turn pro, it does not mean that all these doors are going to open and here comes the red carpet. I'm sorry. You still got to put the work in, if not even freaking more, because the level of
is different.
is so much higher. So much higher.
Yeah.
And I do think people, I mean, I'm hearing it from coaches on this team, to be honest with you. Like, I heard it from you too. I did hear it, and you know it. And he's learned because he turned pro and he understands. The red carpet doesn't open up when you turn pro. You know why? Because there's so many fucking pros.
Correct.
Guys.
It used to be different.
They don't give a shit if you're pro. And it's just the fucking truth, right?
Correct.
They care about social media. They care about what you could do for me. It's not what I could do for the athlete anymore like it was back in the day. You get all these magazine deals and all this shit. Like, you get a couple pictures, whatever. No. Now with social media and all that. But I think people do have that false, look at it like, oh, if I turn pro, I'm going to get sponsorships. If I turn pro, someone's going to sponsor me. Dustin, how many sponsorships came when you turn pro?
0.
Yeah, so I think that's another one too that seems to be
0 sponsorships.
So there's a really interesting, and the bodybuilding world is, in my experience so far, the only one that this exists where everybody's looking for sponsors. I think they need to understand, people out there, that most supplement companies or apparel companies or food, all the companies that are, providing products and services in this industry, they're looking for you to promote their product or service at your expense to give you a discount or a free product. There's nothing, again, there's an exchange of value there, right? I mean, I do it myself.
Affiliate program.
The affiliate programs, right?
I got a bunch of affiliate
But
codes.
I think that a lot of young athletes, a lot of people believe that as soon as they get into this industry and they get up on stage, I mean, I can't tell you how many have reached out to me saying, do you offer sponsorships? And I'm like, yeah, Tamara Vaughn, who's a fitness Olympian top 5, is one of my sponsored athletes. She's the only one.
Yeah.
I said, everybody else is an affiliate. I don't pay for any of my other people to do anything. It's an exchange of value. I give them some product discounts. They get a little commissions, and they promote my product because they use it, because they like it.
Exactly.
I think, and then the other big one too is the GoFundMe's.
Oof, Jesus fuck, man. Oh, wow. Don't get me started on GoFundMe.
Well, hey,
if you can't afford this, don't do it.
Actually put a GoFundMe out there, and I know it sucks, and you're telling me, but for Japan, I was thinking about it.
We're not doing that.
Don't you do that. I will slap you around. Don't you do that.
It's not going to work. It ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't need to GoFundMe. You know what I'm saying? We got this shit. Because it almost sounds like you're just not successful and you're not making the money, you need help. And we don't need that. We're going to handle that shit on the side. So we're not doing that. Yep. But, I do 100% agree. I don't like GoFundMe's. Like, if I had a big talk with the closest people to me. If I ever go down, right, and I have a chance to live, if I wake up and you guys have a GoFundMe going for me,
you begged for money.
I'm going to freak the fuck out and disown every motherfucker. You let me handle my fucking business. So that's my little thing.
Here's my thing. You know what? For you, use it as an example, Dustin. You know what? If you could use some source funding for your travels,
help me, my family, for travel,
to
make
Tokyo
things a little
and things
bit
like
easier,
that.
ease the mind. Absolutely.
Your body is your business.
For sure.
So then what you're looking for is seed money for a business. You're looking for angel investors in your business. Exactly. You have to approach it that way. This is not about donations because I need help.
Right.
That's where I find bullshit in this. You find these amateur competitors, even pro competitors, they're out there going, I need to buy a new suit and I need to travel to the show. No, you don't need to do any of those things. You want to do those things. Therefore, it's a business strategy. So find some people who invest in your business. That to me is respectable, and I'm okay with that.
For sure.
But going out there and begging people for money because you need help, it to me is where it crosses the line.
I agree.
Get people to invest in your business. Your body's your business, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. I agree. Or you just say,
I got a bunch of people who were asking to do that and sponsor me as well. So
that's okay.
Absolutely.
I'm all right with that.
It's very easy to ask for help, and I feel like as a man, I just can't do it under any circumstances. I'm going to work. You're going to
working my fucking ass off.
And you work hard. And we work hard.
All I'm fucking doing
is
handle
that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to handle that no matter what. We ain't going to be asking nobody for nothing, bro. But we got that.
Yeah.
But, Tokyo's expensive. I get it.
It's very
It's fun.
expensive.
And I'm not all the money that I can if I can help out. So
It's
I mean,
very
if I gotta ask, I'm gonna ask. So I mean, I get it. I totally understand what you're doing.
And by the way, we have to remember,
I can do what the fuck I
can do
want.
whatever you want.
Think
Exactly.
about any other industry, sport we'll call it, that professionals who travel around the world to compete in their sport. The prize money does not exceed the cost to participate.
Let's be honest. He got first. He got $750.
Hey, yo, but hey, that's my first $750.
Which is why Dr. Debbie Rosen puts this all in perspective, because I'm my very good friend who's a fitness Olympian who travels around the world doing this. When she wins, third or fourth at the Arnold or the Olympia or Masters Olympian, things like that, she walks away with a $5,000 or $10,000 check. It cost her that much money to even just get to that show. So to me, I don't venture into saying this is a hobby, all right? Because it's a lot more than that. And anybody that hears me say that it's a hobby, they're like, this is a lot more than a hobby. Okay, fair enough. I'm a golfer. I used to run. There's nothing wrong with investing in something that you're passionate about, right? And there's even nothing wrong with taking it to an amateur pro, pardon the, but to that level. But even the biggest pros, they don't even. It's hard to earn a living doing it. That's the,
well, that was my next thing, right? Is like all the money that you put into being a pro bodybuilder, all of that, a pro coach, whatever. That's an investment towards you and then what you're willing to do with it. So like if I was just going to be an athlete, you're gonna make no money. We're coaches, right?
Yeah.
I'm a coach, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably down. In the past few years, I'm probably down $30,000.
Yeah.
Since I've been coaching the past 3 years on athletes. I'm not fucking bullshitting, guys. Like people don't understand.
Buying backstage passes.
Yeah.
I'm down $30,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very expensive.
That's an investment in myself, into our business, into my clients, and that also shows that I give a shit.
Right.
But I'm never looking at that as an L, right? Like, and I think the same way we're looking at when we go to Tokyo, right? That's just more exposure for Dustin, more exposure for the team.
Get as much exposure.
We're gonna have fun. Like I write it off, me personally. It's like almost like a business expense, right? Like we're growing the company, we're growing the business, you're growing your name, and then more eyes on you, more clients on you, more clients to me. Like that's just how it works, right? Correct. So even though we're not getting paid, we're still getting some kind of
absolutely. There is a trade-off.
There's a very big
for sure. So like one of the strategies that I'm doing right now, packages that I'm putting together with one of my friends who actually does some agency type shit, is she's putting a package together to reach out to certain Japanese companies to potentially get sponsorships there to like go over there and like represent.
That's a good idea.
There.
Yep.
You need a commercial? Cool, let's do a quick commercial.
I'm gonna be there, bitch.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're trying to kind of wheel and deal like that right now and try to figure out some stuff like that. So I got a lot of strategies. I mean, GoFundMe was like my last strategy, but at the same time, it was just like a way for like maybe friends and family to kind of like, hey, I'm doing a walkathon for whatever. I need some sponsorship. You get what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like that. That's how I looked at the GoFundMe. Not necessarily like I'm begging for money, but more like, hey, my friends and family want to support me.
Well, here's the thing.
Want to support me?
Let's be honest. Who's paying for me to go to Tokyo?
I mean, you're probably going to pay for yourself, but at the same time, I'm trying to get as much money as I can.
You're trying to bring the whole family.
If I was going to do that, I was going to pay for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't need to pay.
So like,
we're going to be fine. We're writing that shit off. No matter what. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting there no matter what.
We go in there and we getting fucking top 5.
That's it.
For sure. And so that's too easy.
I don't look at it as money anymore, man. Like I really don't.
It's honestly, it's an
Money's
investment.
Gonna come and go.
I look at these athletes. I've had athletes come up to me and say, hey man, dude, I can't freaking pay you anymore, man, for this. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not gonna let you go.
Right.
So you pay me when you can. I'm gonna continue to look after you because I fucking put all this work and investment and time into you. You're not fucking this shit up.
Yep.
Please. So no, you stay with me, and then when we get, okay, you can pay me that. And that's an investment into 100%. My future and into my coaching career. And then the understanding that I do give a fuck as a coach.
Yeah.
I am passionate about this. I love this fucking sport, and I'm doing this to see you shine. I want to see everybody come up and shine. So, but I mean,
what's your thought about people who are not stage ready getting on stage to
not
still
fucking
show
happening.
off
Not on my team. All right. Unless
personal philosophy.
Unless they're like, I am going to this competition and I don't give a what I look like.
Okay.
So
okay.
All right.
Okay. There's a lot of coaches in this town.
Yeah.
Right? All of them say, "Oh, I'll never put an athlete on stage fat. I'll never do that."
Right.
Bro, you put on so many fucking athletes on stage fat. I don't even want to talk about it, right? Here's the thing. When you're a coach, right, your job is to bring them in shape. If you don't want to come in shape, I don't fucking care. I will still put you on shape because you know what? You still busted your ass.
Right.
You still worked fucking hard. I have so many athletes, man. Like, there's a few names, I'm not gonna say names, that are won overalls after a while, but they look like shit the first couple shows. I still let them step across that stage, right? Yeah. We don't want to bring out that because what happens is it is a direct reflection of me.
Correct.
Yeah. And we've talked about this. If you go on me and Dustin's page and you scroll, then it's just out of shape, out of shape. Shredded. I'm going to the next coach, right? Yep. So I think, but it's not my fault that you didn't put in the work. I'm not going to take that away from you. Yep. I put on athletes on stage not ready. We don't want to, but sometimes it happens. Yeah. I'm not going to hammer them. So that's my thoughts. Go ahead.
I mean, again, if this athlete is, I don't know, man. It's hard.
I'm like, how
fucking out of shape are you?
We've never gotten that fat a person ever.
That's what I'm saying.
It's always been good.
I'm talking like if I bring you on stage and for sure the judges are looking at it and they're like,
why are they here?
Why the fuck is this guy lose a bet? Like,
see, and
that's happen.
That's
that ruins
where
my reputation of bringing people. I can't do that.
And
I'm sorry.
It's why, like, I have again, I feel like we've bastardized local amateur bodybuilding because I think the local amateur bodybuilding stage used to be, and I'm going back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, the forum for amateurs to kind of read the magazines, read what the pros eat and how they train and kind of do it themselves and then get up there and do the prep themselves and then get up on stage and see what they look like, right? That's what it used to be. And so when you go back to like the early 2000s, late 90s and stuff like that, it was really common to see people on stage that you could tell like they did their best. They did their best at these local small shows, but like they weren't going on from there. And I feel as though because we've cut out this concept of very entry-level local shows, everybody gets onto the local show with the intention of looking like a near pro. Everybody works with coaches now. It wasn't like that. It's an interesting concept because like a lot of people notice like I don't put before and afters on my page of my clients. I don't put a lot of pictures of my clients. Why? Because a lot of my clients are 400 pounds. And they don't necessarily lose weight, but shit, they get off their statins. I mean, like, that's a big deal. How do you put a picture of that, right?
It's a big deal.
So it's always interesting for me because I've got a lot of clients who are so proud of themselves and like you'd never see a picture of them.
I think like client testimonials for you might be a good thing, maybe having them talk and stuff like that, but it's hard to put out the pictures. And there's been a lot of great transformations that just people don't want me to post, and I'm totally fine with that, right? But I think from like a business side of things, it is good if you post like you should get some client testimonials, but I'm sure you're doing fine.
I mean, I have them, but when I go to the show, sometimes I in my own mind have this dichotomy of I look at like a woman who's clearly still carrying an extra 20 pounds of body fat, but maybe she lost 180.
I was about to say.
And she's so proud of herself. And this is the best shape she's been in her whole life. And she's up there with that glittery suit and all that fancy makeup and all, which, by the way, I'm going to say about another kind of pet peeve scam in just a second. But, she's just so proud of herself. And, she just wants the pictures for her family. And, like, in that moment, I go, you know what? Good for her. But as a bodybuilder, I go, you could do that in your backyard. You don't need to be on stage for that.
I've sat down and there's been coaches like that I know in the town, right, that are coming up. And I'm not saying names, but the factor comes out. Oh my God, that's disgusting. Why would you ever go on stage? Here's the thing. People, and this is why I say I don't mind putting people on stage in certain positions, right? In certain situations. We don't know what that person's went through, right? We don't know if they were a paraplegic fucking 10 years ago and they had it all. You really don't know. I've seen videos you don't understand. And that's why we've talked about it before. The transformation division is so fucking cool. We will love that because then we'd be able to see, wow, she looks fat, fine.
Now it's a story.
Look at this shit. Like she came from that to this. Wow, good for you. So that's why I had a personal judge anybody anymore. But I do agree. I think that if you have the if you have no problem and you're just fuck off the whole time and you're out of shape, I'm not putting you on stage. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to do that. But if you give me 80% effort and I'm okay with that. I'll put you on stage. I have no problem with that. But it's tough. What I think it is too is I think it's social media. I think that there's almost no excuse not to get in shape. So I think that's why you're starting to we get that ick when people walk. Like there's no fucking excuse. You have people like Dust. You have people like me. You have people like you that know the sport. You have fucking Chat GPT that could coach you.
Dude, literally.
That shit. That is unbelievable.
Listen, it's legit.
You
can literally say, Chat GPT, I need you to create for me an amazing 16-week bodybuilding preparation competition prep for a female currently at this weight based on a top level coach, whatever name
you
is.
You can put in carb cycling parameters and everything. It does
and then it's like wham, and you're like, And then you could even say along with gear protocol.
Yeah, it does it. I know.
Dumb.
The craziest thing that I've seen is I just said, "Hey, I'm a male bodybuilder. I need a peak week protocol."
Dude, I remember.
I've done that too.
I was
With
there
diuretics.
when it happened.
in a water protocol.
Yep.
I cannot tell you how accurate that shit was.
Fucking accurate,
It was
bro.
like if I'm not saying there's little things that I do differently, but I was like, "There's no way."
Yeah.
There's
I
no
was like,
way.
that's actually kind of legit.
They just did that with a click of a button with no information on me.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so my son actually is he programs artificial intelligence, and when I tell him some of the things that I put in there and stuff, he's like, "Those are cool parameters." Like, it's amazing what stuff I do now.
The prompts that you can throw in there and the things that you can get out of it. It's nuts.
Yeah, ChatGPT is a nigga of the world. But I want to talk about my biggest pet peeve, guys.
Yeah,
All right,
do it. Go for it.
All right.
Go for it.
So I think the biggest scam right now is red light therapy. Listen to me. All you white girls
Okay,
out
I'm going to
there.
give you that one and sauna blankets.
That works too. All you white girls out there, okay? You can go to your red light therapy, but I promise you, that red light ain't doing shit
Nothing.
for you. That's all I got to say. So what do you got on red light therapy?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Red light therapy, I do think, is the biggest scam in healthcare today. And I think it falls under the concept of there was some big name person that got paid a lot of money by some company to go out there and say that it does something.
Yep.
Now, I will tell you, though, that the bright light therapy, from a sunlight therapy standpoint, actually does do something. But that's a totally, the 10,000 lumens and all that kind of stuff. Don't follow Brian Johnson. That stuff's bullshit. But just, going outside in the sun or like having bright light on your face to actually wake you up and, shift your neurochemistry to make you know that it's circadian rhythm, daylight, night.
But what does the red light do for you, Debbie?
Yeah, seriously.
It really,
I'm laying in the bed. I got a red light.
Nothing.
My
You got
face.
this red light
does
mask,
nothing.
you got fucking-
It
what we
does
doing?
nothing. It doesn't. Now, infrared obviously does do something, but even that they're questioning. So when you look at infrared therapy, there's actually some really good clinical research trials that they've looked at, where you looked at the short wave, the deeper waves, and things like that, and they actually put people in placebo tents, and what they found is that the people that say they enjoy being in hot environments tend to actually get the health benefits, and the people who say that they don't like hot places
Gotcha.
don't. And it's
So
the same
it's a
thing with
mindset.
cold plunge too. So cold plunge is also an interesting scammy thing. I hate it too.
I have a lot of fears on my own, but
Okay, so here's the thing. It's the exact same thing. If you actually look at the research, and they'll show you that if you go into a cold plunge, and they show you the time and the temperature and this kind of thing, if you take two different groups of people, and these people say they love the feeling of when they're sitting in that tub for the 90 seconds or 3 minutes or however long they go in it for, and then you've got this group of people over there that say, I hated it, it was miserable, I was freezing, I got pains in my legs and all that kind of stuff, you'll actually find that these people got the health benefits and these people didn't. What they're telling you is that it's actually what's in your mind thing.
Yeah.
So if you actually sit there and meditate with that deep thinking
Wim Hof.
to try to deal with the Wim Hof method, right? That's actually where the benefit comes from. And the same thing with sauna blankets, saunas in general, they're actually finding that it's more so that than the heat stress proteins and all that
exactly.
crap.
Or it's so much less about the red light and more about just like the sauna, because they put heat. You're sweating, right? So when you leave a sauna, you're gonna feel like a little bit tighter, right? Your veins gonna pop out a little bit. You're hot. You're fucking man. I feel
Correct. And you sat there doing
kid
nothing
water's
for about
on.
20 minutes.
good. But the red light all over your body. I don't know, bro. Hey, that's my big. That's it.
I'm with you.
What do you got on that, bro?
I don't know. I think the red light shit's gay, but
It's Pride Month. Not that we hate gay people.
I don't see. Yeah, fuck it. Whatever. Okay, it's trans. I don't fucking know. It's either one of those. But I don't believe in it.
No.
I'm one of those people that fucking love the heat.
Me too.
Bro. I swear to God, I'm cold here. As soon as I get outside and I feel the sun, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
I love this
Fun
shit.
fucking story.
Love it.
Fucking story, real quick. I literally get to Colorado, right? It's pretty cold outside. I go in the room.
Here we go.
This motherfucker had it on like 70.
85.
Was it 85?
I had it on 80 fucking
You
5.
piece of
It
shit.
was cold as shit. in
Okay.
there. I walk into that room, and we're lean as shit at this point. I have
He is
no
lean.
body fat. I'm fucking cold, dude. I am so cold in that shit. I couldn't sit in there.
There's a difference in cold and living in fucking Africa.
I need you to know that the penguins sleep in my bedroom.
There's no
I feel
way.
you.
I need it at 68. My house.
That's my
It's
house.
on 68. And people tell me, why do you leave it on 68? It's year fucking round. If I'm gone for a month, I will leave it at 68. So I have the satisfaction when I walk my fat ass through that door. It's fucking cold.
I mean, I wear a sweater and fucking at the house.
I know. Which is okay. Some people could do like that, right? But I walk in the room. I'm like, I didn't want to say anything. He's in prep, cool, right? I lay in the bed. Bro, I woke up
Sweating.
drenched.
Sweating.
Drenched.
Sweating.
I'm like, Dustin, bro, we're going to have to compromise here,
So,
brother.
you guys know Jeff, my husband. Jeff is a former NFL player. He's a big guy. He carries a lot of body weight with him, and he's a human furnace. And so our bedroom, he likes to keep it at 68 degrees when we sleep at night. And I am downright frigid. And also, we don't. It's just the two of us in our house. All of our kids are all grown. We have 5 kids. They're all gone. And so there's no reason to keep my entire house at 68 degrees at night when we sleep. So we got one of those built-in wall
little bangs.
Was that the split unit for just our bedroom? So that the rest of our house could be like 74 degrees, and then the bedroom can get down to 68 degrees. Well, when you take that 68 degree temperature thing, you put it inside the bedroom with the door closed, it is like ice. You could literally have icicles coming off my nose. And right now in prep deep like this, I'm in like a sweatshirt, sweatpants, blanket. Like, how you doing, Penguin man?
And all that shit.
Well, that's the way I always look at it. Like, dude, like, don't make me suffer. You could put on clothes.
That's what he says all the time.
Girl, you can put on clothes. I'm not suffering because I will literally be like, I'll be in like a shirt and I'm like hot, like I'm like sweating. But that's just me, man. And he's prep. I didn't really give too much.
If you were lean, you would be freezing.
Wow. Dude, those are fighting words.
Say much. And you're not the same way. Raven was the same way, bro. She's cranking that shit up, and I'm like, okay, that's
like he's like, let me see you pose. I'm like, it's fucking cold.
It's freezing.
I'll fucking take this hoodie off.
Yeah. But I do think that's going back to the point. That is one of the biggest scams, right? And I think it's just the white girls, to be honest with you. Like, it's the white girls that are like, you know what? Like, let me just put something on my head. Let me get a guy in the mask. Let me get a mask. Let me put a guy in the corner singing the thing, and then it's gonna make you detoxify your body. And it's just, there's so many scams now, but people are going to pay for it.
So what are you saying? You're saying red light therapy is like the pumpkin spice of fucking wellness?
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And people are going to make money. Why would you not do it if you're going to make money?
I mean,
it makes me want to get a bunch of bad bitches, let's be honest, create some stupid shit that makes no sense, but get a bunch of hot girls in there and do it. It's going to blow fuck up.
It's called the Thigh Master. Remember that?
Yeah, or like the Shazam or something, whatever it is. Yeah.
All right, so
blue light therapy.
Blue light therapy is better than red light therapy. We're starting a business.
Along those lines, the business of bodybuilding and where it becomes scammy is the tan, makeup, hair.
Ooh, for girls? Oh my God.
Fucking money, girl.
Lord. And then also, again, every young woman that gets into, and I'm only picking on the girls, I don't pick up the guys, but they get their body work, and I go, you got to go to the gym. Like, you've got about 6 pounds of muscle on you, you've been working out for 6 months, and you're spending $1,000 on a suit, you're spending $1,000 on hair and makeup, every weekend you get your nails done, but that's a whole nother story. You're worried about what color your makeup should be, what color your nails should be, you're getting your body work once a week, and you're paying for your prepped meals and shit like that. Like, I go, just go to the gym. Just go to the gym and work out, man.
Have time to go to the gym and actually, put some stimulus on your body.
It's just remarkable to me.
I think it's because we're very old school, right? And we're seeing a lot of new age things.
Yeah.
And it's cool because I'm 32, you're a little bit older, right? And I know you guys get it. We are living in an entire different generation.
Very different world.
It's nothing.
When I was going to the gym, this was 15 years ago, pretty much. Yeah. I didn't know much about anything. All I knew is that I saw bodybuilders and I wanted to be fucking big.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what the hell competing was back in the day.
Yeah.
I just went in there and I just worked out. I just generally enjoyed it. People now start working out because they see this girl on social media going to the gym.
Correct.
They see this guy on social media going to the gym. Oh, that looks cool. Oh, that looks cool. Let me do a show. That looks cool. I can go with all my friends. I do a show. That sounds fun. They do it for the wrong reasons. They don't actually love bodybuilding. They love the satisfaction they get from Instagram and all their friends and be able to tell everyone.
It's the wedding and not the marriage.
Exactly.
It's it's about the wedding dress and not necessarily the husband.
So what advice could we give people to not do that? There's nothing we could do, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, bring it back in full circle. Here we come. Is what? Why? Why are you doing this? Because if you want to do this for 35 years, you got to have a really deep rooted reason for it. And if it's just about putting on a sparkly suit and getting your makeup done for the day and things like that, that shit ends quick.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get first place, you don't go to nationals, get first place, get your pro card, go to a pro show, get first place. Well, that road is very short.
It becomes an unhealthy obsession, honestly. And I see it all the time. You do it for the wrong reason. You go there, just like you said, you get second. Now you don't want to compete because you think you're shit and you think you're all this. Let's be honest. Why do you think you deserve first anyway? Like, you got people that have trained for this for 10 fucking years. You've done 3 months of work, literally 3 months of work.
Yeah.
And you think you deserve first?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but sometimes it can happen, but most of the time it's not going to happen that way.
Yep.
You got to be so genetically gifted.
Like this guy did 48 months of work.
Yeah.
You just did 3.
Yeah, and
48, bitch. You're talking. Some people do years.
That's what I'm saying.
years.
48 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's,
I think
that's
that
44
there's-
years.
You do 60.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's
3
just like,
months.
you only did 3.
And you're going to complain about not winning when this person put in years and you put in 3 months. And you're gonna now you're gonna hate bodybuilding and go through this big. Now I'm benching all food and I hate never bodybuilding again.
And it's political, and the judges know the coaches, and
this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. You know. It's
but I
all
think
the
that
same.
I think it's because social media has glamorized a lot of the. I think it's really glamorized the aspects of bodybuilding that are in front of everybody, of being on stage, and not the dirt and the grind and the grime and all the grit that goes on behind the scenes that I think people have lost their sight of.
Absolutely. I totally freaking agree.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see, man. And like I've coached a lot of people up to this point, and I know exactly the people. Like I just had an athlete leave and go to a different local coach, was totally fine, no problem. Because he just didn't. I think he blames me for him not looking as good when he just got in the sport, and he really doesn't understand. He did other sports in the past, but coming into this, it's different. This is a time fucking game, bro. This is a time game.
Yeah.
And like, you got to be willing to put in that time. And if you're not willing to put in that time, don't get your ass on stage.
Yeah,
And,
or level set your expectations, right?
Like
So
Debbie.
you want to be able to go to the gym 5 days. Again, I live a balanced life. I own a business. I have a husband. I have kids. I like to travel. I do prep for 6 months of the year, and I don't for 6 months of the year. And you know what? When my husband says, "Hey, we really need to go out to dinner with certain people the week before your show," like I have to travel for business. Peak week, and they're like, "You're gonna have to go out to dinner with people. It's a business function.
Yeah.
How am I gonna do that?" You know what? I level set my expectations based on the life that I want to live and the priority that I want to give bodybuilding. It has a huge priority in my life.
Yeah.
But I level set my expectations knowing what I'm willing to do and what I'm not.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just foundations of bodybuilding, building that foundational bodybuilding freaking habits, right? And people just can't freaking do that. It's just, it blows my freaking mind.
Yeah.
It comes back down to like, why are you doing this? Like for 35 years, no, it's a long time, 32 years. Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
What's like your number one reason?
Me?
Why? Yes.
Well, I would say that I'm going to give you maybe 2 or 3 key points. Number one is the feeling that I have in the gym of being strong.
Yes.
I love that feeling of being strong. I love lifting heavy shit. I have that great sense. So every single gym session for me is a mini goal, right? And I go in there. I'm old school. I have my little notebook. I take count of every rep and every set and the weight that I try, every little bit of it for a long time. So I just love the feeling of lifting heavy shit. It makes me feel very powerful in sometimes powerless situations in life. I suffer from a lot of anxiety and I'm a control freak. So I have 100% control of my gym session.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I think the second thing is I believe based on research that it is something that will give me good health in life. And that's a reason why I don't choose to use a ton of PEDs. I don't use diuretics in peak week and things like that because I've done that in the past and I ended up hospitalized.
Wow.
With a cardiac condition. So I'm like, okay, if I want to keep on doing this into my 70s, I want to be that old lady on stage that people are like, look at her. She's doing this shit for 50 years. I want to be that woman. I want to inspire somebody that says, you know what? This is something that if you do it right, you could do it for a long, long time and it helps keep you healthy. Because I do think that there are aspects of bodybuilding that could be very unhealthy.
100%.
And I think that the third thing too, honestly, is just I do think that I do inspire some people by doing it. And my story, if it gets one person to eat a healthier meal or get to the gym and start lifting and stuff like that, that's good enough for me.
Perfect.
I think you pretty much nailed the first thing you said is that you enjoy the training.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't enjoy the training, you're not doing that for 36 years. I'm fucking sorry. I don't care what mental side you got. I don't care what the fuck you have. If you don't enjoy the training, you're not going to fucking do it. So that's why I'm so happy that you said that first. And that's truth. I enjoy the training.
I love it.
He likes the fucking training.
Do you know how many friends invite me to Zumba classes and shit? And I'm like, nah. They're like, don't you love going to the gym? I'm like, it's not the same.
Not the girl kind of gym.
I just, you know what? So yeah, I love exercise, but like I like lifting heavy shit, right? And by the way, on loving it also, I love the discipline of the diet.
Yes.
So even in off season, like I intentionally increase my food, increase my macros. But I love healthy food and I love that. Again, it's a little bit of a type A control freak part of me, but I love controlling what goes into my body.
Yes,
and that's another big part of it.
I love eating clean. You know?
You like
flavors for pussies.
Pretty much. Exactly. See Dustin's last video. No, man, that
Did you see it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Flavor truly is for pussies.
Flavor is straight up for you pussies out there. So if you need all that flavor, you know where you are.
What place are you gonna get if you want flavor?
Probably dead last, or you know what I'm saying? Second for sure. You ain't getting first.
Because you're going against him. You're not going to get first.
To be honest, so my kids are 29, 25, 23, and Jeff's are 29 and 26. And I can only speak at least for my children, how they were like, all three of my children have some form of exercise in their life. None of them compete, but they all exercise in some way. Yep. And they all eat healthy in their own way. So like some of them do meal prep and some of them just kind of eat healthy and clean, and some of them like organic and stuff. But my kids are all very much health oriented and I think that's because they were raised in this kind of health oriented but balanced lifestyle. Right. I mean, my kids think that like eating, ground beef and rice with some salt and pepper on it is normal. Like they think that's a very healthy way to eat. And people think they're nuts, but I'm like, but that's how they were raised.
Yeah, my 2-year-old comes up to me and we got a Kiki tax. My little daughter Kiana, she's no matter what, Dad, just food.
Oh, geez.
Doesn't matter what it is. I'm eating freaking fish and rice.
Right. She wants it.
Daddy's eating it.
Any food. She comes over and sits here, freaking, okay.
And you know what? I'm telling you, in 25 years from now, you're going to remember these moments, because all of a sudden she's going to start, when they go off on their own, you watch them do things and you realize that they start making some healthy foods. And again, it's not all the time, but, it's great. It's great when you see you do that.
Because they want to be like you. They want to. I'm sure your kids will look at you like, "Wow, well, look at Mom. Holy shit, she's only for 30 years. Like, I got to do something, right? I got to be something kind of active. Like, my kids over there doing push-ups, and like it's so funny, the cutest thing ever. I'm literally sitting there on the phone. I look across the street, like I'm like far away. My son's on the sidewalk in his boxers doing push-ups. He's like 4 years old at this point. I have video on my phone. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I would like hang up with him. I was like trying to videotape it, and he was just doing push-ups because he saw Dad doing it. Like, he's like, I want to be like fucking Dad.
So it's interesting you say that. So my younger son, my middle child, he was in the Army, and going through basic training during COVID too. So there was an added challenge to that. And I'll never forget when he reached out to me. He said, "You know what?" He goes, "There was a moment during my basic training that I didn't think I could keep on going. I mean, they were awake for like 96 hours, and they had done like the big long trek and no food, and it was sleeping out in the ditch, and then the live fire going over their heads and stuff like that." He goes, "And you know what? I just kind of remembered some of the times that I was a single mom, and he's like, I remember there were times where I remember saying, how is she doing this? How are you doing this? Like you just got back from San Francisco, you're making dinner and then coaching Lauren's soccer game, and you're gonna get up tomorrow morning and go into Manhattan." And he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "I just remember saying, if my mother can get through all that shit, I can.
Then I could do it."
Yeah. So being a parent is an interesting opportunity to be a good role model.
Great role model, and it's the hugest responsibility that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much coming up on time here, Miss Debbie. Is there anything that you want to leave in terms of a message for the audience out there?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's really important to, number one, just, know where you want to get to, and then just align your decisions, your choices, your habits with whatever that is. Mm-hmm. And just because you see something as an end game, don't discredit what someone had to do to get there, and you may not be willing to do those things, so just make sure that, if you see somebody that looks like that, understand that what it got to that point, you may not be willing to do. So maybe shift it. Don't back it up, but just shift it a little bit. And then, do the best you can for your definition of success. Give it your all and keep on going and just push it to the limit for what you want to do.
And then don't forget to celebrate those little victories.
Yeah.
Little small
That's
victories.
important.
Keep that foot on the gas. But hey, this has been another episode of Warrior Talk. Thank you for tuning in with our guest, Miss Debbie Rawson. Thank you so much for coming out and driving 2 hours and gracing us with your presence here. It's been an honor. Great conversation. Appreciate it. So you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, because there are a lot of y'all that watch this podcast that aren't subscribed. So we're going to need y'all to hit that button. Please, come on now. Hit that like button so that the like button for more algorithmic freaking vibes right there, because we're going to need that. Comment, please. Bell notifications so you know when we're posting more of these vids, and we're going to see you on the next one. Much love, many blessings.
Let's go.
Peace.
Let's go.